fit 3 adults to a seat, and we're quite a big group, so we will need to.
A good welcome to you, and I'm glad that you are watching this video. And in this video you will see us being driven underground 22 meters, and you will also see how gold mining was done in the 1800s using primitive tools. Gold mining is of course still being done even today at Sovereign Hill in Ballarat, Victoria, Australia.
Fit 3 adults to a seat, and we're quite a big group, so we will need to. Today we've travelled 22 metres underground, it's about 60 feet, and if you need a reference point for that, the pocket head that I picked you up from, a bit of a visual reference, you take that pocket head, you flip it upside down, that's the same distance that we've come down today. We don't go any further than that. There were 11 working levels to this mine, but Ballarat does have a water table. So this is as far down as we go in terms of depth. Now before we head down this horizontal drive here, we'll ask, is everybody feeling okay underground so far?
Yes.
Yes? Would anybody like to leave?
No.
No? Lovely. This is the perfect point to get you out. Once we continue on, it's a one out, all out situation. So we're going to head down the drive. There is a gate. It swings closed and locks. So just hold it open for the person behind you. And if you're a little bit taller than me, just mind your head on the low beams. Let's head down this way.
So we are all going underground, but you can see just some light to help you see where you're going. That's all. Have it come from the hot, it's cooler here, which is nice. Right here. Shaft signals.
Shaft signals, Josh.
Where we have come.
Nice and cool here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always recommend to people on warm days to book their tours a little later in the afternoon.
Yeah.
As it gets warmer.
Yeah.
Okay, is that everybody? Are we all in? No?
A few more.
This is a display. You might have seen on our way past on your right the original shaft entrance point for this North Normandy mine. This is what we call platform 2, and we built it to replicate that old original shaft entry point. So this section here, this section of wall, is built by Sovereign Hill, and we did it to give you a clear indication of what it would have looked like back when they were using it. So today we came on an inclined tram. The miners though were using a shaft and bell system. So this was their entrance and exit point for the mines. It was also the entrance and exit point for everything that they found. So heavy trucks full of quartz rock, as well as gold, any other sediment that they needed to remove from the mine, as well as water. So over here on our right, this is called a Cornish beam pump. Now the Cornish people do come up a lot here at this company quartz mine. That's because they had a huge presence and the very valuable knowledge that they brought over with them from Cornwall. They had been mining tin, and that sort of ran out, and when they came here they had the technique, they had the knowledge, and we've sort of adopted that quite heavily on the Ballarat goldfields, especially once the companies were involved in mining as well. So Cornish beam pump, this would operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Its job was arguably the most important job in the mine, and that was to keep the water up and out so that our miners stayed safe and dry. So as I said before, we're 22 metres underground. This particular mine has 11 working levels, so it goes down to 1,100 feet below us. And then below that again, the Ballarat Mining Company, which is a privately owned company, is still mining there today and still pulling out quite a lot of gold as well. These two shaft systems were how the miners got to work. So they wouldn't have come down on an inclined shaft, they would have come down on a vertical shaft. Now working in a company quartz mine was a good option for a lot of miners. When the alluvial gold was first discovered, which set off the gold rush, now alluvial gold, for those that don't know, is the gold that's found outside of its host rock. The water's broken down the quartz and you can just pick it up out of the creek. So when the alluvial gold was first found, that set off the gold rush. People heard rumours all over the world. They thought, I can go to Ballarat, I can take the gold out of the river and I'll be rich. The end. That's how it's going to work. When they got here, that had pretty much finished. The alluvial gold had all disappeared in a matter of 4 to 5 years. We needed to go deeper underground. That's where quartz mining came in. Now the gold is still within the quartz host rock. We're looking for quartz reefs. A lot of the miners that arrived on the Ballarat goldfields did not know how to mine. They didn't have any investment. They were in debt, maybe, from their tickets over here. So the company mining was a good option. You were paid a wage. You could feed your families. You had stable hours. You knew exactly what your job was. And it was on the training job. So there's no real risk other than, you know, your safety. So they would come down in these safety cages. They did not get paid until their feet touched the platform, though. This was not where they would land. They were operating 1,100 feet below. This safety cage takes 20 minutes to get to the very bottom and another 20 minutes to get back to the top. That is a 40-minute round trip. So I asked the question, how many people do you think could safely fit into this safety cage?
Maybe 6.
How many?
6.
6.
2?
You did well down here.
20.
2.
2.
Safely designed for 2, that's what the drawings show. However, you wanted to be paid, alright? So you'd have 5 men in here, 5 more on top, and maybe a couple down the ladder if they're feeling brave. This was actually the thing that created the worst incidents, the most accidents within the mine. When you think mining accidents, you think flooding, collapse, that sort of thing. I want you to think more about, I don't know, decapitations, loss of limbs, that sort of thing. Super safe. We were also using this all day, all night to take trucks of quartz out. So, we would use this bell system here to communicate up top, hoist to surface this floor, and the safety cage would disappear. And in the event of an accident, we've got 2 safety cages and maybe 100 men down here at any given time. What do you think they would do? This always scares me even thinking about it.
Hang on the knife.
Up the ladder, yes, sir. That was one option. They would send the safety cage up, 5 men inside, 5 men on top, and they would hang on to it underneath. If it was full of quartz trucks though, and you've got 100 men rushing at these things in the event of an incident where they don't know where it might necessarily be located, you do have the emergency ladder. However, this ladder would take an able-bodied miner 2 to 3 hours in complete darkness from bottom to top, and that's not factoring in more than one person mining it at a time. So,
How
we
many
don't
people
want that
would be
happening.
down there at the time?
At a time, about 100. At its peak, about 100 men, and they had a night shift and a day shift. So, yeah, it's quite a huge undertaking. But that, I mean, there weren't many rules, there weren't many regulations, so there was no, I guess there was no real requirement to have any more than 2 safety cages operating on this end of the platform anyway. So they might have had another couple down the other end of the drive as well. But there weren't any rules, and it was very expensive equipment, and the investors were paying for everything that was happening down here. And so it's sort of like, good luck. Yeah. We'll head this way. Now on our way, another Cornish word. It is like their break room. So 20 minutes down, 20 minutes back up. 12-hour shifts and a half-hour break. Wasn't worth going back up to the top, so they would stay down here. There were special candles made for the miners to light their billies in so that they can have a cup of tea. They made them very specifically for 10 hours. They would burn for 10 hours, and it took 10 hours to light the water, to heat the water drink for a cup of tea. So they would light their candles the day before. If they had a friend on the night shift or day shift, their friend would light a 10-hour candle for them so that they could have their 1 cup of tea on their break.
Ways, stations. Different stations. Yeah. So similar to the one at.
Once you have had a little look, we might get you to shuffle around to the back so we can get some more quartz mine. What were we looking for? Quartz, absolutely. And the reason we were looking for quartz is because the gold is heavily deposited in reefs of quartz, a reef being like a long line of quartz rock. Now in Ballarat, geologically speaking, our quartz reefs would always appear running at a 45-degree angle north to south. Nobody can really explain why. It is a very Ballarat regional thing, and there's lots of different theories. That's just how it was. Once we discovered that, we also discovered that this north to south black line would intersect with these gold reefs very regularly. It just so happened that in Ballarat, where that intersection was where the heaviest gold deposits were found. That was the richest form of quartz gold that we could find. Once we knew this, we knew what we were looking for and we knew how to find it. Made gold mining a lot easier. When I say easier, I mean just in theory we knew what to do.
Relatively.
Yeah, relatively easier. So we'd be looking for this intersection, this 45-degree angle north to south gold reef. What we would do is we would drill it full of holes, and by we I mean the men would drill it full of holes. They would pack it with black powder. Black powder is very dangerous stuff. It is just as likely to blow up in your face as it is to not blow up at all, unfortunately. And then we'd blow the quartz to pieces. We'd put the quartz in trucks, we'd transport it up top, break it down, take the gold out of the quartz. It was a very long, arduous process, and the way that we were initially drilling was not very efficient. I'm going to show you two displays along here that is about the technology that we're using to process this quartz from quartz reefs to gold. If you want to take
Sorry, when
Yes?
they were digging,
Yep.
what did they use for light?
for light,
Acetylene or?
yeah, candles,
Oh, candles.
mainly candles, and they were not enclosed candles like this. They would keep them open. And the reason for that is that when you lost oxygen, the candle went out. It was a good warning system. So they would have probably way more than what we've got along our wall. It would be like candles all the way along. And that way when the candles went out in any given section, you need to move away from that particular section.
No beds.
A lot of the time it was also in darkness too, depending on where they were in the mine and how developed it was. Let's head down this way. This way here if you like. So this here was our early technology. We call this the hammer and tap, or the hammer and gad. What you would do is you would have two men, one holding the hammer, one man holding the tap or the gad. The man holding the hammer would take a big swing, hopefully hit the gad and not his friend. And then his friend would rotate it a quarter turn. They would continue this process until they had 7 to 14 holes in that quartz wall. Now quartz is a very hard rock. This would take two men at least 5 shifts, 5 12-hour shifts. So that's two men tied up on one wall, and that's not even guaranteeing there's a reef anywhere near where you are. It's literally just trying to build it dry. So it wasn't very efficient. It was all in rush. Lots of people were finding that they couldn't invest necessarily back into their independent mines, so they were looking for investors. That's how company quartz mines kind of took off, and with that came money, and with money came equipment and technology. And as we developed technology, we got the drill and we got dynamite, and boy did that change things. Come and take a look at our drill.
So this is basically the same process like what we saw.
Probably don't touch it. I can't guarantee there's nothing in there. Right, so this drill could do the same thing one day with one hand, but the hammer and gas for a week and 2 hands to achieve. So this drill could get those 14 holes into that quartz wall in one day. Then on top of that, we're not using black powder anymore, we've got dynamite now. So we pack it with dynamite, we blow the quartz wall to pieces, same process, just much quicker. However, with the advancement of technology, as we know today still, comes a whole lot of risks and a whole lot of danger that we didn't necessarily anticipate. What do you think was the most dangerous thing about this drill? Dust, quartz dust. Quartz is a very hard rock, and as it breaks up into dust, it becomes a very fine, sharp rock. So you're breathing in dust that is like breathing in shards of glass. It's shredding your lungs up, And all it takes for the miners that develop miners' complaint, which today we know as silicosis, was maybe a common cold or pneumonia, quite common on the Ballarat goldfields with all the water, and that'd kill them. So this, yes sir?
So didn't they call that the Widowmaker?
They did, sir.
Yeah.
This drill earned the nickname the Widowmaker because it was killing more miners than anything else. And on top of that, it was extremely, extremely loud. So miners were going deaf within 6 months. 6 months of operating this drill. Keep in mind too, folks, that we had young boys underground, boys that had left school, maybe following their fathers or their brothers. How old are you, little fella? How old are you? 8, perfect. If you say you're 10,
We'll put you on the drill.
we can put you on the drill. Or you can have the job of pushing those heavy ore carts up and down, up and down, 10 years old. We would have 8-year-olds who said they were 10, there weren't rules. So these little fellas, they were breathing in that dust too. They were also going deaf quite early.
And it's air powered, that drill.
This, yes, it's steam powered with air pressure. Yeah, steam powered. I mean, this particular one isn't, but the original ones were.
Original ones.
Yeah. So we'll move into our final display now. Does anybody have any questions about the company mine before we head on in here? No?
Is the company still running?
Is the company still running? Yes, we have not this particular company.
Okay.
We do have the Ballarat Gold Mining Company. It is privately owned, so it's not government owned or state owned or anything like that. And still operating beneath Sovereign Hill and then a little bit out towards Ballarat East. They're still pulling a lot of gold out from underneath us. Sometimes we feel this rumble a little bit. That'd be them. The thing is though that today the amount of gold that they're still pulling out in the region, they have to sort of pace themselves. They've got to be quite careful about it because they can actually quite affect the global value of gold. It's gotten to the point now where they sort of have to be very careful about how much they're bringing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on. Come right up to this pillar here, and then up to the road. Just bring you in this direction. Not past the pillar so you can see. We come right on in here, folks. You might need to file behind a little bit. We're going to look at this display here. Just shuffle right on up past. If we could get everybody past this pillar here, that'd be great. We're looking at this display over this way. Very different, doesn't it? Who can make some observations for me about this space? What do you think this is? So this is not a company quartz mine. This is an independent mine. This mine was discovered by Sovereign Hill by complete accident. The company mine didn't know it was here, and Sovereign Hill didn't know it was here. We're extending our 1930s drive up this direction, and we blasted through a quartz wall and came upon this empty space. Now this empty space has a quartz reef running through the roof called a pillar. It's running at a north to south 45-degree angle. So what do you think? We think they found what they were looking for. Now independent mines, they weren't required to keep documentation or anything like that, so we don't know exactly, but we can make some educated guesses based on what we do know of the Ballarat area. The average gold yield was 10 grams per 100 tonnes of quartz. We've estimated that they've taken about 500 tonne of quartz out of here, which would equal about 5 kilograms of gold, and it looks a little bit like this. Now based on the technique that they've used, we call this pillar and stope mining. It's a Cornish technique. The stope being a Cornish word for steps, which is the steps dug into the wall here, and the pillar being the quartz reef running through the roof. Now they've left some gold in that quartz reef up back there, which makes us think that they knew exactly what they were doing. Was it worth pulling it out to risk their lives? And on top of that, we think they were probably a family, independent mining, maybe 3 to 4 people, a couple of years. For 5 kilograms of gold, it doesn't look like a lot, right? Was the risk worth it? The value of gold today, 5 kilograms would be around $420,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so maybe worth it. These timbers behind me here, they're not holding up the roof. What do you think they are? They're called talking timbers. They're like floorboards. When you put some pressure on them, they creak and they moan and they groan. And when a miner hears that, you get out. Talking timbers. When they're talking, you start running. And the way that you get out is down that ladder, across that way, 2 meters, back 2 meters, and then up 22 meters by rope. You'll pop out next to the candle maker's store up top. That's the original shaft entry point for this mine, and we're very lucky we didn't build that building over the top of it. Does anybody have any questions? This was all done by hand. Pick and shovel. Didn't have any equipment. Couldn't go below the water table, obviously. That's why they're up here.
Well, it's interesting for us because we come from a mining country.
Yes.
We've never been underground there. You have to come here to be underground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Ballarat's very good at preserving things like this, I
good.
think. Right, so folks, today we're going to take this train, driven by the lovely, who we got there, Brigitte. Brigitte will take us back to the trams by train, and then we'll head back to the surface. When we catch this train, a couple of safety features. It is bench seating, and we're heading in this direction. So we ask that you lift your right leg over the bench and then sit down like you're riding a horse. Once you're seated, do not stand up again because the beams are quite low and they're very, very hard. You don't want your face left behind. On the end of each carriage, red emergency buttons. Do not press these buttons unless it is a genuine medical emergency or you've dropped a child. That is an emergency. If you drop your phones or your belongings, just let us know. We're happy to go back down and collect them at the end of the tour, and we'll sell them back to you at a reasonable price. With that, I'll hand you over to Brigitte and we'll start boarding.
Excellent. How many do we have, Mum?
We've got 31 now.
Excellent. So just follow me this way, please. We can fit 7 to 8 per carriage. Make sure we're staying in our travelling groups, please. Yep, we'll fill up the first one first.
What are traveling like families of 8 or what? Is that what you
Yeah, so just make sure we stay 7 to 8 per carriage.
Don't enjoy walking.
Can you walk from here?
I can walk from here. It's a long way though, and it's very hot.
How long would it take you?
Probably about 15-20 minutes.
Only.
Yeah, I got to get outdoor and then it's all uphill.
Oh, right. No, I don't like uphill. I like downhill.
Yeah.
I like this one because
agree.
it's flat.
Yeah. We don't like making people walk in and out either. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8.
I think that's a fire detector, isn't it? The one that is.
What fire detector?
That one there.
What?
That one. That one there.
Yeah, you know that machine.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and please don't forget to like this video by clicking the thumbs up button. If you have never subscribed to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and to share with others. I hope this video has given you an idea of how gold mining was done in the 1800s. And please watch out for some other upcoming videos. God bless you, and bye for now.